When you hear the words Nickelodeon Kart Racers, you probably don't think of a top-tier kart racer. You probably think of, an off-brand Mario Kart with SpongeBob and Ninja Turtles instead of Mario, Luigi, and friends. And honestly, that's not the unfairest of assumptions to make. At least, not if you played the first two entries. The first Nickelodeon Kart Racers, in my opinion, and probably the most, was downright terrible. The second one was okay. It was definitely a step up with better mechanics, better movement, and just better gameplay, but still nowhere near the polish of Mario Kart or Crash Team Racing. But then came Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3 Slime Speedway. Out of nowhere, this third entry, it wasn't passable enough. It was actually really good. It's the kind of kart racer that I actually, in good conscience, can recommend to all of you. Kind of. We'll get to that in a sec. So how did this franchise go from a total joke to one of the most surprisingly fun kart racers that I've ever experienced? Let's talk about it. And before we dive into the nitty gritty, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get on with the video. The first Nickelodeon Kart Racers dropped in 2018, and it was, well, an embarrassment. It was developed by Bamtang Games and published by Game Mill. Yes, Game Mill. They have some low-budget licensed shovelware, sure, but they have really been making a name for themselves in this licensed game genre, with Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny releasing in just a couple of days, which actually looks really good, and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, one of the best fighting games in the last 5 or 10 years. The game hit consoles at full retail price, with all the polish of a discount bin Wii title. I have some bullet points here of all the problems I had with the game, but there's so much more than just this. There was no voice acting, so imagine SpongeBob, Patrick, Ninja Turtles just racing in complete silence. No grunts, no talking, no nothing. The track design was bland, it was uninspired, it was themed around Nicktoon shows, sure, but there was no charm. Instead of racing through iconic Nickelodeon moments, you got cookie-cutter courses with a Nickelodeon skin slapped on. And the roster was tiny. There were so many characters missing, there was no variety, and it was like Nickelodeon didn't even care. And they probably didn't care with this first one. Even the mechanics were boring. It didn't bring anything new to the kart racing formula. There was no flair, no personality, no Nickelodeon-ness. It was just gross. It was bad. The critics roasted it, the fans ignored it, and Nickelodeon Kart Racers, by all accounts, was destined to be forgotten. But surprisingly, 2 years later in 2020, Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 Grand Prix came out, and it wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't good, but compared to the first game, it was a massive improvement. The roster expanded massively, featuring over 30 characters this time. You had people like Danny Phantom, Zim, and Garfield even. And finally, the game at least felt like Nickelodeon. The gameplay was tighter, it was much more colorful, and they introduced a system where you could recruit pit crew members from Nickelodeon history. If you want Helga from Hey Arnold or Reptar as your support, you can have it. The tracks were more varied, the layouts were better. The game still suffered from presentation issues, like, again, there was still no voice acting, the animations were still stiff as all get out, and the weird budget game vibe, but mechanically it was definitely playable. It felt like this time Bamtang and Game Mill were actually trying, they had more budget, they had more resources, more time, instead of rushing something out to cash in on. And so Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 wasn't great, but it planted the seed, and it showed that there was potential. And then, 2 years later, in 2022, Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3 Slime Speedway arrived, and somehow, this underdog franchise pulled off a miracle for the ages. The game didn't just improve on the formula, it actually stood tall as one of the best non-Mario Kart, non-Crash Team Racing kart racers of the modern era. For starters, voice acting. Finally! Hearing SpongeBob scream, "I'm ready," or the turtles bantering mid-race breathed life into the game. Suddenly, the characters weren't just models driving around with bland music in the background. They had personality. It felt like you were finally playing as these characters that we had all grown up with. The roster was stacked with over 40 playable characters, including deep cuts like Jenny from My Life as a Teenage Robot, Rocco, Jimmy Neutron. That's the kind of fan service that people love to see. And customization got such an overhaul too. Guys, there is so much content in this game. And I know this is such a niche video to make, and I'm sure it's not going to do well, but I don't care because I want people to know about this game. There is so much content here, so much stuff to unlock. Bikes were added alongside carts, and you could tweak vehicles for speed, for handling, for style. The pit crew system returned, but expanded with even more strategic depth. The pit crew system, if you didn't know, was a way that Bamtang and Game Mill could incorporate more characters like Hugh Neutron and like Mr. Krabs without, obviously we can't have, 90 racers in this game, but they included them and you can pick them before you go into a race and they give you a bonus. So like, for example, Mr. Krabs, he gives you more coins. So once your slime meter fills up, you'll get 3 or 5, however many coins from Mr. Krabs. Maybe you'll get a free item every time you get an item box. Maybe you'll get an extra boost when you boost going off a ramp. These pit crew members add more variety to the game, and it just makes it a lot more fun. And that's like this game's selling point, one of them. Another big star of the show is the track design. Nick Kart Racers 3 finally nailed it. The tracks were not just themed this time. They were love letters to Nickelodeon. Sliding through the sewers with the Ninja Turtles and racing through SpongeBob's Bikini Bottom. Dodging hazards in Atlas World. It was colorful. It was fun. It's chaotic. It's great. Now, here is the issue. Mechanically, it feels very fast. It feels very responsive. However, I'm playing this game on the Switch 2, and it runs at a locked 30. Fine with me. It is a locked 30, just like Sonic Racing Cross World is. Locked 30, I have not experienced a single dip in frame rate. That being said, if you are playing this game on the original Switch, do not buy it. It is awful on the original Switch. You can look up comparisons on YouTube. Most of the time, your game is going to be running at anywhere from 21 to 25 frames per second, and it's so inconsistent, it's just not worth it. So if you don't have a Switch 2, then do not get it on the Switch 1. Get it on a PS5, get it on literally anything else that's not the original Switch because it just can't handle it. I don't know. It looks nice. Like it's a decent looking game. I don't know if it's because it's just not optimized well. I don't know. I couldn't tell you the reason. And I also do want to let you guys know that this game is actually currently on sale for $7.50 until October 12th. So if you don't love the game on your Switch 2, then you don't have to play it for a long time. It's only $7.50. I got it for $7.50 because I just started playing the game a couple weeks ago, and I absolutely fell in love with it because, to be completely honest, I've been a little bit frustrated and kind of burnt out of Mario Kart World for a while now, and I was looking for... I love kart racers. I always have, I always will, and this one really itched that for me. It filled that void. And for $7.50, you really can't go wrong. You're getting so much content for that. This game is not just good for a licensed game. It is genuinely so much fun. And so why is this comeback important at all? Because Nick Kart Racers 3 went from a, to be completely honest, terrible soulless cash grab to a legitimate kart racer that should and could stand besides the giants of the genre. It's not here to replace Mario Kart. Nothing ever will. It's not here to dethrone Crash Team Racing. Nothing ever will. But stand next to them, with them. Because I believe that every, at least decent kart racer has something to offer. And for a franchise born from Game Mill of all publishers, that's insane. Game Mill has been on a roll lately. It proves that even the most mediocre IP can find new life with actual effort and creativity involved. And I wasn't calling Nickelodeon mediocre. I was saying that literally you could take Garfield and make a fun kart racer out of it. And they did. Nickelodeon is my jam. It always has been, and it always will be. I love the Nicktoons. Nick Kart Racer started as a joke. It was not good. It was slop. But by the third game, it finally found its footing. And that's not something that I can say for a lot of franchises. How many franchises get 3 tries to get it right? It remembered that Nickelodeon is all about fun. It's about chaos, personality. And it delivered a kart racer that deserves way more credit than it gets. So if you wrote off the series after the first game, I wouldn't blame you. Or even the second one. I still wouldn't blame you. But you owe it to yourself to give Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3 a shot. Because somehow, against all odds, this franchise made a comeback.